getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome back to the inaugural season of Sim Racers Group Formula 3 Racing on SMB. J.R. Gregory here with you on the call. Beside me in the commentary booth, my partner, Charles Bochelle, and tonight's producer, the great Mike Braun. And after battling the bumps and the Florida heat at Sebring, Week 5 brings our F-3 Warriors to Fuji. Opened in 1965, Fuji has arrived at its 60th anniversary. In that time, has hosted the Formula One Grand Prix in 1976 and 77, and again in 2007, 2008. It is current host to the World Endurance Championship, GT World Challenge Asia, Super GT, Super Formula, and many others. Today's configuration opened in 2005. It is about 2.8 miles and thankfully 13 corners, kind of omitting that very awkward chicane coming off the back straight. And I don't have a current lap record for you because this configuration not used very often. And Charles, some pretty unique challenges facing our competitors tonight at Fuji on a track that combines the longest straightaway on the calendar with some low-speed, tire-grinding corners. So what are your keys to tonight's race?
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of mentioned them there, JR. First thing is mind the track limits. We've got some it's easy to get off tracks and some slowdowns if you miss the some of these fast corners a little bit too much, go a little too wide, you'll end up getting a slowdown. It's really going to hurt you. time you're passing properly. You've got that long straightaway down into turn one. If you get a good run out of that final corner, you could pass the guy very early on that lap, but then it may be that you get passed back before it's all said and done. So you got to make sure that if you're going to get that pass done, you can get it done late, make it stick, and move on. Finally, we talked about it week in and week out. You got to manage these rear tires for the entire race. And I think tonight is going to be another one of those that we'll start seeing some issues about, 5 or 10 minutes before the checkered flag drops. So that'll be the things that we'll watch out for tonight.
Yeah, and I think fronts might be at risk at this track as well. And right now we got about 5 minutes of qualifying remaining. You see what our timing tower is looking at. Looking like right now it's Jason Green up top of 130.3, followed by Conway, Mikovits, Vicroy, Stephen Case sitting in P5. And I'm looking for Adam Thompson. And is he going to be on the grid today? I know he's missed 2 races after winning the first 2, and I don't see him out there. So it'll be interesting to see the top shake up a little bit today at Fuji. Yeah, Charles, Fuji, pretty interesting track, and should be pretty well suited to these cars. Like I say, I'm not a huge fan of that chicane they put on at the end of the back straight, and we're driving without that tonight. So these cars ought to perform pretty well, and with this very long straight, riding along with Jason Green right now, we're going to see him tick off this click and a half long straight, extremely long, and we're going to see a lot of contested entries into turn 1 here, and it's a pretty interesting design of this track. There's many lines through this first corner, very easy to do 2 and even 3 wide here, and what we see a lot as we see Green navigate that turn 1 hairpin is even if you get the inside pass done, over the years we have seen cars vulnerable to kind of a over-under move right there. It looks like they got the pass done, but they have compromised their exit by taking that inside entry, and the car being passed gets them right back in that next little sequence of turn 2 and 3. Pretty fascinating and exciting racing when that happens, and we're probably going to be seeing that again tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As Jason's continuing on this lap, there's one more thing I want to mention. I didn't put it in the race notes, but it is absolutely a race killer. Is those curbs on the outside of the final corner? They are basically ramps, and if you catch those wrong, your car is just airborne. It is just so easy to do. You try and carry the speed around the final corner to get the run down the straightaway, and you end up pushing wide. And you catch those orange sausage curbs on the outside. That was, I think, a little too deep there by Velasco on that chicane, or on that corner, I should say. A little too narrow on the apex, but it's one of those that you can flirt with the track limits a little bit, but then some will just absolutely bite you if you're not careful. So you'll have to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that final corner, those curbs on the outside will absolutely just destroy your car and your race.
Yeah, and that's one of those spots that kind of hilariously exposes maybe some deficiencies in the iRacing physics model, but you can definitely, I have launched a GT3 car way up in the air by going wide and hitting those anti-cut curbs. So we'll ride along with Stephen Case right now and see if we can give you a little bit more info about the lap. And so that is your turn 1 hairpin. And this corner right here, this left-hander, pretty interesting, almost flat out, maybe a little lift. And there's one of the places Charles was talking about. Very easy to pick up a 1X on that exit right here. And here is the carousel at Fuji, and that will grind those front tires off. And this corner right here, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that is 6 there. Very, very important to get a good exit there, because that will start your run down this back straight. And right here, where we're not going to go. Stephen Case heard me and is like, I'm not going to give you a ride for nothing. But anyway, where he was headed on the back of this back straight, that turn 10 that cuts over to heading toward the pit straight is another place where you really have to kind of dance around on the track limits. Very easy to get an off there, and that's another place where 1Xs are going to be adding up quickly. And right here, we're in the 10, 11, and 12 complex right here. Whoa! And as you see right there, very, very challenging corners right there. You got to be very, very patient on the power and make sure that you treat those rear tires well, or they're not going to treat you well by the time this one is over. And Neil Day kind of demonstrating what it's like to get loose there. And that's something we're going to be seeing all night as well, Charles.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just pushing the limits of the car as practice is now over. And you can just see some of these corners. It's just like you're big winding, 180-degree corner almost, and you're just continually hammering the throttle, trying to keep as much speed through that corner as you can. And it's just going to be a test of the driver's abilities.
Yeah, too right. And we are about to enter into a 15-minute open qualifying session here. And open qualifying is a great feature to these league events. It is a kind of a tip of the hat to reality. Of course, they don't clear the track and let drivers qualify one at a time. So these drivers are going to be going out together, dealing with traffic and the pluses and minuses of that. And I'll tell you what, Charles, if I was setting up for a qualifying right now, I would want to have a draft buddy, because that long straightaway, these cars will get a pretty good slipstream, and that can take a huge chunk out of your qualifying time if you can get assisted by another driver coming down the that pit straight. Yeah, and we may have lost Charles. So here we go. Let me take a deep breath and stretch a little bit. Ugh. All right, here we go. So as I said, qualifying underway here. And let me just give you a quick overview of this FIA F3 car. If you came to us from or actually, let me interrupt myself there, and we'll show you the championship standings. This is through 4 weeks. We got Case from Vickeroy, from Eggert up front, and look how tight those points are. The top 3 drivers separated by only 10, and then Mikovits, Poborji, and Adam Thompson hanging around right there as well by just about 20 points. And don't forget, Thompson has taken his 2 drops, and I'm a little surprised not to see him on the grid right now. I knew that he was going to miss 2 races, missed the last 2, and expected him to be back for this one and to continue his kind of climb to the top after winning the first 2. Do not see him out there, however. So P7 is Green, Corwin, Velasco, and Lebivy there will round out your top 10. Mikovits in P11, a little surprised there. He's a pretty fast driver that drives near the front, but has not been consistent. Then Lopez, Duval, Dillon, and Kocher up to P15. And I'll let you go ahead and read the rest of that list for yourself. Got a huge field here. 34 cars have gain points here, and here are your team standings. Case and K up front with 194. Who the heck is SRG? Team 6 with 183, and Vibes Based Racing Team in P3. And you can see they're very competitive. These team standings kind of added the last couple weeks to add some fun and excitement to these races. And gosh, down to P9 has 139 points. So the team element here definitely adding something and showing another way for these guys to be competitive with each other. And we should have some lap times coming in here pretty shortly. Fairly long lap here at Fuji, and we sometimes speculate whether they might be tempted to take tires at some point during qualifying, and pretty unlikely here, I would think, due to the length of the lap. If you went in for tires, you'd be throwing away your in-lap, throwing away your out-lap, and a lap or 2 to get the tires up to temperature. So seeming unlikely that we're going to see that here. And our first times are coming in. Jason Green, you saw him at the top of qualifying, P1 for a moment. Now De Silva has put down a 131.8. Tires still getting up to temperature. Those times are going to drop by a second or 2 by the time this 15-minute qualifying session is over. And taking a look at Poborji now, he's usually up at the top. Velasco usually in that top group. So tires getting warm, as I said, takes 2 probably laps to get them up to their sweet spot. So getting some early laps down here, and we should see our grid begin to solidify probably about 10 minutes from now.
I'm really curious to see Jr. What how these drivers stack up. The top, I think 8 or so, were actually really close in times in practice. So I'm really curious to see what they look like as we get through qualifying here. How many we're going to have within that magical 1 second lap time or pole time here during qualifying, and see how tight this race actually is going to be on the soul. And there's the curbs. You gotta watch out for that, Mr. Bolly. You can't take those that way, or else all 4 tires off the tarmac.
Yeah, and this really is, and you identified it really well, Charles. This really is a track where you have to kind of cozy up to the curbs, flirt with them a little bit, maybe give them a little kiss, but you don't want it to go farther than that. Farther
That's
than
right.
that.
No, you don't want to take them home to
will
mom for sure.
Yeah. You don't want to be taking them. You don't want to be in a shotgun wedding with a F3 car and this curbing, because that is just, there's only one way that can go, and it is bad. And there is Green now. He has broken that 131 barrier with a 130.8, and he is the driver who kind of dominated that practice session. And I think, if I recall, Charles, he had a low 130. So we're going to see these times continue to drop off, riding along with Borgi there, seeing him deal with that turn 1 chicane. And man, oh man, this is going to be a pretty good race, Charles. This is a great track, and these cars and drivers have been putting on fantastic shows every week, and it just kind of seems to be getting better. This is the inaugural season of this F3 competition from Sim Racers Group, and continuous improvement across the board.
Yeah, I think it's partly due to the fact that the drivers are getting more comfortable racing with each other, so they know how well they can race, how tightly they can race with some of the drivers, and who maybe they don't quite gel with on the track. And so, and then part of it is once you start seeing the guys up front and what their lap times are, you start putting in a little extra work on during the week. And trying to get that lap time down and get a lot more consistent with it as well. So they see, oh, okay, if we're gonna be competitive, we've got to put in a little more than what we've done, and I think that's really showing. And that every week it gets a little closer. I will say, I know you mentioned Adam a couple of times, who we all know here. And he's got a child now, so now he needs vacation to recover from his vacation. So that's how that works.
Right, of course. And another factor that may be playing a role here too, as these drivers kind of settling in to this new car. All these guys and last season were coming up out of the F4 car, kind of similar platform, although this car has 100 more horsepower and significantly better aero. So only 1,200 pounds in this FIA F3 car, 260 horsepower, normally aspirated 4-cylinder. So that is a handful more power, and it just kind of takes some time to get dialed in with these things. And I have driven both of these and tried to kind of keep up with practice on these tracks that these guys and gals are driving on in both F3 and F4. And one of the big differences in this F3 car is you got to get used to drifting it a little bit, because these things, despite having the mechanical grip and the aero that they have, they slip around a little bit more than the F4 cars, I think, because of the power.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, but I think they've got more aerodynamic grip and more mechanical grip, so they can actually hold on to that slide just a little bit better, and kind of power through it. So yeah, it is a much different challenge in these F3s than F4s. I'm going to bring up something because we've got a little time to kill here. I noticed that iRacing, in one of its last developmental updates, said there's a new open wheel car on the way, and I don't know what it is. So, but we as a group, we've talked about in my team Discord, we've talked about what we think it could be. The one thing I haven't mentioned yet, I'm not sure if we're familiar with it, JR. Have you watched any of the new the GB3 races? So the British F3.
Oh, I have not.
Oh, so they have got a brand new car for this season that has more horsepower, more downforce, and DRS. And it is absolutely amazing to watch these cars run. And I'm hoping that's what we end up getting. That will be a massive upgrade I mean, not that these cars are bad, but they are old. They're a couple or 3 generations older than what the current F3 series is running. So it would be interesting to see what we'll end up getting in the future from iRacing.
Well, that certainly sounds interesting, and they do have 1 or 2 decent tracks over there in the UK to exercise those cars on. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that, and it's amazing to me how good iRacing is, and their devs are at keeping lids on leaks of that kind of information. That
Yeah.
especially those of us who are kind of living and breathing it, they're managed to keep a lot of stuff like that a surprise. But let's take a look at those standings. We've got about 5 minutes remaining, and it's Mikovits from green from Case. And I mentioned Mikovits before, usually kind of lingering up at the top. These F3 races, his performance in the points, not that great so far this season, but showing his pace right now. It's putting down a 1:30.6, followed by Green, Case, Poborji, and Lloyd Conway, sitting currently in P5. And those of you who watch this show know I kind of like to look at the time brackets of these qualifiers, and right now P1 through P14 are all within 1 second, and that's pretty good on a track of this length, Charles.
It really is, yeah. And we might see a couple more sneak in there. You never can tell. But yeah, to get the top half of the field within a second of pole, that's pretty major accomplishment, and that just goes back to these drivers are getting a little better with this car and getting more familiar with it and able to put the lap times in.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing that has been interesting about this, these races are fairly short, and I gotta say, in the F4 cars last season, you had to work pretty hard to blow the tires off of them and have tire problems at the end of such a short race. These races here in F3 slightly longer, and it is way easier to get these tires in big trouble during the course of that 25-minute sprint. And I think the drivers are getting more used to that, the concept of caring for your tires so that they're there in crunch time at the end. If you need to make something happen, you don't want the fronts blown off, you don't want the rears blown off so that you can't put the power down out of some of these slow corners here at Fuji particularly. So it's F3 and F4 through Sim Racers Group. Great developmental leagues and a great culture that they've created, helping each other improve and kind of growing together. And it's really a testament to what they have done over there at Sim Racers Group, and testament to sim racing in general, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I can imagine that you go in there and you say, "Hey, I want to come in and run this series," and as you're in there practicing, you may have somebody looking over your shoulder saying, "No, you really want to do it this way." So you get that instant feedback, and then you get the camaraderie of just hanging out with a bunch of guys that just want to race and end up having a good race at the end of the night, or a bad race. So you can either celebrate together or commiserate together. Either way.
Yeah, and watching our timing tower, Case and Green both taking bites out of Mikovits's pole time, and look at Stephen Case, 1,000th off of Mikovits there, off the pole. He still has some time, and we'll watch Mikovits circulate here, and you see him sliding right up to the curbing, that exit of that very difficult turn 10, and you really kind of have to flirt with that, as I said, on every lap to maximize your lap time. Very easy to go wide there and pick up a 1X, and Mikovits right there showing how it is done, and not seeing a lot of purple sectors out of him. And we just watch Velasco and Lopez both improve their lot. Velasco jumping up to P4, Lopez jumping up to P5. So up top, it's still Mikovits from Case from Green. Now Velasco, Poborji, Conway, Lopez de Silva, Eggert, and Josh Corwin sitting in P10. And qualifying winding down here. And if you've been with this, you know that qualifying does not end. Ooh, as Mikovits dragging that inside front tire. Qualifying does not end on the dot. If you cross the line before the numbers hit 15, you get to finish whatever lap you're on. So we're probably looking at a 16, 17-minute qualifying session as the grid beginning to settle. See a couple cars going in. Poborji has parked at Wang, Snyder, Posada, Trantham, and have kind of decided they've done what they're able to do. Many cars still out there, though, and you know that Case is pedaling his heart out right now to try to get that 1,000th of a second to get up and pull.
Yeah, he is, and we were on board with Mikovits there. He just really slowed up coming into that final corner. He wanted to get the best possible launch out of the final corner, down the straightaway, gave himself some room in front, so he did not have anybody that was going to hold him up unless somebody made a mistake. And so he's giving himself no draft help, at least at the start, and he's just giving himself clear racetrack to try and get this as Case is coming around the final corner. Just going to get in there. I think he might actually have a chance to get another lap. He's got to get 12 seconds left. He should be able to get to the start-finish line, so he'll be able to go around again if he doesn't get it this time, and it doesn't look like he will because it looks like it's all yellow sectors, so no improvement as we get that on there. Yep, so 0.04 of a second off of Mikovits, who set a little bit better time that lap. And now we've got Case, who is still on it, so obviously still another opportunity here. We've got Green with a second sector personal best, and Conway as well. So there are still a couple guys on track that can set better laps.
Yeah, and Vickeroy making the most of that light and fuel load, just put down a 130.8, which was good for P5. So a couple of drivers here taking advantage of the light and fuel load and taking advantage of the end of qualifying. And we often see that. People shooting up and kind of improving their lot in life. Jason Green now has done the same, pushed up into P3. And look at those top three cars separated by less than a tenth. Mikovits, Case, and Green with qualifying winding down. So, yeah, this race is going to be fantastic, Charles. This is a fantastic race course. And as I said, these F3 drivers are just getting better and better every week. So we're going to have a little barn burner on our hands right here.
We are indeed. So top 15 within 1 second, the top 10 within a half second. So this is pretty heavy on the front end, stacked pretty tightly together. So it's going to be interesting this first lap, trying to get everybody sorted out, because you're going to get down into the turn one here, as you said, 3 wide. It kind of reminds me a lot of the Nürburgring turn one. It's kind of a downhill right-hander, pretty tight, that heads you off into the Mercedes arena there. This one just takes you down and gives you that run down into turn 2 and 3. But very similar in nature, is a really wide entry and a much more narrow exit coming out of that turn 1. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this first lap rolls off.
Yeah, absolutely is. And a million entry lines and maybe slightly less than a million on exit there. And some really creative passing that we've seen over the last couple seasons in that 1, 2, 3 complex, and great spot, as I said, for a switchback. So it looks like maybe one more car. That is the 160 car of Green. And I just saw a little red light next to his name on my timing, Terry. He had an off track, so that lap is toast. And I think you are looking right now at our qualifying order. We're going to have that grid up for you here momentarily, and we are going to be getting this one underway at Fuji. And maybe while we're lining up, we can take a look. We can throw up the weather here, and we can talk about that a little bit. Sometimes very high humidity here, but there is your starting grid. Mikovits laying down the law with a 130.6 on pole. Case will line up next to him. Then it's Jason Green next to Alex Velasco in row 2. Then Skylar Vickeroy will line up next to Danush Poborji. Poborji putting down a good time, and that may be his best qualifying result so far this season. Then it's Lloyd Conway next to Adrian Lopez. Tyrone De Silva next to Chris Eggert. Then Joshua Corwin next to Chris Wang in row 6. And we'll give that a little scroll. You'll have Daniel Labivi next to Bali in 13 and 14. Snyder will line up next to Vase. Kocher next to Duvall in row 9. Then it's Grinsky next to Molina. Diego Posada next to Aaron Van Wagner in 21 and 22. And Brashear will line up next to Cardenas. Dillon next to Chris Cook. Jason Trantham next to Neil Day. And Ryan Chia, I think he probably just showed up to put down some practice laps and unlikely to grid. Doesn't look like he participated in qualifying. So missing one car right now. I'm going to say 2 maybe. There's Lopez waiting on Brashear. And Chia not being on the grid may make the clock run all the way down to 2 minutes, and that is going to get there in about 20 seconds. iRacing is going to force the start here at Fuji. And Mike, maybe we can take a quick look at, whoop, never mind. And we are green completely. Missed the lights there. Mikovits gets off pretty well, but Case gets a good launch too. Going to be sneaking, having a little peek around the outside. Yep. All right, thought that was green for a second, but it's Mikovits from Case, from Green, from Velasco, from Vicaroy, from Poborgi, from Conway. So the top 7 getting very good starts, nose to tail, no passing in that top group. Now, strike that looks like Poborgi has gotten past Vicaroy, but we've gotten our first problem area out of the way. We got these cars off the line and through turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like a pretty clean start. Jason Trantham's up 5 positions already, Duvall down 5 and still dropping. So apparently he's probably offline and just kind of being held there. He'll get lined back up here, but good start by everybody. No major fatalities into turn 1. So everybody gets to get through hopefully this first lap, and we can get everybody lined in single file, and we'll get started with the drafting. So we turn back through here, coming through the final couple of corners. We'll get back down to that front straight, and we'll have us a little draft fest and see what the draft is going to do for these cars as they come down the front straight.
Yeah, it should be interesting. And Vicaroy and Poborgi had a great fight for P5 side by side through much of that lap. So great driving by both of them. You see Mikovits with a little weave there to try to break the draft behind. And here comes the draft train at speed down this 1.5 click front straightaway for the first time, and can lead to some, let's call them kerfuffles here on the entry to turn 1, and we'll see how they get through this time. But right now it's Mikovits from Case, from Green, from Velasco as they stream through turn 1, heading into turn 2 and 3 now, and getting ready to get set up for that carousel. And so far very clean here, Charles, and lap time's already pretty quick. Mikovits's first flying lap, a 1:33.5, and those are going to be dropping here pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll just continually drop down. We'll probably get, depending on who was doing a lot of drafting and qualifying, we'll be back down to qualifying speeds by probably the midpoint of the race. And then I think as the tires start wearing down, then I think maybe the lap times will creep back up a bit. But yes, so far so good. Everybody kind of staying in line. Did see one of the cars in the back hit those curbs on the final corner coming out. I think it might have been Posada. It was the Angry Birds car. So all I saw was the Angry Bird flying. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, because it's already kind of people as we see Molina upside down. And I wonder how that happened. I do see another car off track just ahead, and that is in turn 1. Okay, and that is the replay there of the death in turn 1. Oh, yeah, the 4 car just kind of moved over to the right a little bit and just absolutely got wheel-to-wheel contact with the car on the inside, and was the worse for wear for that. So upside down, have to tow back to the pits.
Yeah, Molina going to want a word with his spotter after that. And there is a pass for the lead as Case sneaks by Mikovits there. And I just want to call your attention to those intervals, folks. If you look at our SDK timing tower on the left side of your screen, those amber or orange intervals are all intervals less than half a second. The yellow ones are less than 1 second. And that thing is painted from top to bottom, just kind of demonstrating the competitiveness of this field. Taking a look at Adam Velasco now with Poborgi sniffing around behind him. Vicaroy is leading that train in a fight for P4. It's Vicaroy from Velasco, from Poborgi, with Eggert and Conway sniffing around back there as well. And then a significant gap from Conway back to Lopez. And that may have been where we had that little contact going into turn 1 and the upside down car creating that gap. But look at that train. Oh my goodness. And this part of the course right here, Charles, really requires patience. It seems like you're waiting forever to get on the power, but so easy to loop these cars getting on the power too quickly. And there's also some difficult camber designed into that section of corners. So very tricky stuff. And Case starting to pull away just a little bit, has a decent interval behind. Mikovits not getting much of a tow there as you watch that interval, not moving a whole lot. And my goodness, look at that lap time from Case. Obviously aided by the draft, but Case already into the 130s and about 0.6 faster than Mikovits on that lap. But Mikovits not giving up with about 0.5 gap ahead to Case.
Yeah, you did see finally toward the second half of that straightaway, it did start, chopping down that draft, allowing that second car to close up. The real gap that is going to be Skylar Vickeroy. He's got a little bit of work to do. He's outside that 1 second window that we always say is kind of where the draft is the most in effect. So he's got a little bit of work. He's going to have to claw a little bit of time back to Green to get back in that draft, and he can make that a 4-car battle up front as Green is doing his best to try and hang on as well with 8/10 back of Mikovits. And then, as you said, lots of battles all over, but there's some gaps as well. So we're watching as the cars, start finding their natural home. The gap times are the lap times, and the gaps between the cars are starting to expand just a bit.
Yeah, and that top 3 case, Mikovits and Green starting to drive away just a bit. Green has dropped Vickeroy about 1.5 seconds, and as Charles pointed out, that is outside of the kind of draft range of these cars. You need to be inside 1 second to really get a good tow. And there is Poborji leading a train. Poborji from Eggert from Conway. That's for P6. And they're all 3 going to move over. Looking at a 3-wide entry now. And who is that on the inside? That is Velasco taking the way inside line and making it happen there. He's going to come out of that turn 1 confrontation in the front of that train. So that train is now going to be Velasco from Conway from Lopez, I think, unless I'm looking at the wrong car. That Valvoline car there doing really well, getting that pass done into turn 1.
Yeah, that's the 222 of Eggert there along in front of Poborji, then Velasco and Conway kind of trailing them. Then there's a gap back to Lopez. So, yeah, it's still a very, very tight battle between these 4 cars. And, we're back into that as they're coming through this section of the track, get into these switchbacks, which is, as you said, changing camber, changing elevation, waiting forever to try and get the car to settle, to shift its weight so you can make the corner. And it's just really, really difficult. And then once you get out of that last one, you got to floor it and kind of hope that it holds on and it doesn't push out. So you stay off those curbs on the outside and then try and get that run down the straightaway. It is a very, very difficult section of track.
Yeah, and apologies to Eggert. It was Eggert who had made that sweet move, and I was confusing the 777 on Velasco's car with the 222 of Eggert's, and I just got brand new glasses, folks, and getting old sucks. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and let you know that. Taking a look at Bali now, and here's some more side-by-side action. That's Lebivy, Wang, and Snyder, and you see one of those cars dragging a wheel there. That is the 69 car of Lebivy, and that cost him a little bit oh my goodness, cost him more than a little bit as you watch him squeeze that Lego car over that big curbing right there. It's tough to get a slow down there, but definitely can rack up 1Xs, and that's one of those places that Charles was warning you about early as in the lead into the broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like I said, there's some track limits you can take, but you really can't overdo it. That exit of that corner is absolutely one of them. As you can see, you've got some little painted green on the inside of some of these apexes that you can kind of tickle a little bit, but once again, those bollards are there for a reason, and you cross over one of those. It won't hurt the car, but it will hurt your laptop.
Yeah, absolutely will, and some great racing in this train. Let's see what they do this time. That's Poborji from Eggert, from Velasco, from Conway for P5, and all 4 of those cars covered by just over 1 second. They're spread out a little bit more than they were last time, but let's see if Eggert fancies his chances, the draft pulling him up, and we'll go back to the mid-pack here. And taking a look at Chris Cook, that is him in the 90 car on the inside, and the 24 sticking his nose in there. That is Trantham taking the inside on that 3-wide entrance. Now they're switching places, gone over now to Chris Cook, who is going to commandeer the inside and making it happen there. My goodness, some great stuff there. I told you it was going to be 2 and 3 wide all night into turn one, and these guys have not disappointed.
Absolutely not. And that was kind of one of the things I mentioned is you want to make that pass as late as you can down turn one. You saw Cook take advantage of a car moving back across out of the inside. Says, okay, you don't want that line, I'll take it. We'll move down here and be very solid on the brakes and get the car stopped into the corner, and was able to clear and get that position. So great move there by Cook to take advantage of the car on the outside. Maybe just locking the brakes up just a touch as they were coming in hot and heavy into turn one.
Yeah, take a look at another little train right here. That's De Silva from Corwin, from Bali, fighting for the last position in the top 10. And see what they can get going here, coming down the pit straight, coming out of that very difficult and very critical last corner onto the pit straight. And still De Silva from Corwin from Bali, and watching that gap, you see it dropping there, 0.4. Now it's a mid 0.3s. Now it's 0.3. Man, oh man, what a tow these cars are getting.
Mm-hmm.
And Corwin not quite close enough, but certainly that draft can make up for little errors here and there. If a car in front starts to get away from you a little bit, and I emphasize a little bit, you can get it all back on that front straightaway. One of the things that makes racing here great at Fuji.
It really is you might have a bad couple of corners, but as long as you can stay close, there's always opportunities. We're going to get a replay here of Chris Cook working his way out of, oh no, there's contact there. I don't see that car behind, but as you saw, Chris just a little hot back on the throttle coming out of that corner. Rears could not hold on to it, and his car is now broken. So he's going to have to take that, and I don't think he's going to try, but I think he's going to end up towing that back to the pits, which I believe he has done already. So that's not something you can drive, very easily. Quite a dangerous situation, especially if there's any cars coming behind you.
Yeah, and Chris, that car is cooked, but he is limping it down the pit lane. Look at him dragging that left rear along like a lame dog there, pulling that into the pits. And actually, that tire kind of cooperating nicely and hopping up out of the way as Cook rolling in to pick up his fast repair and watch these gremlins go to work. Whoop! That is not the BMW shop in my town, I'll tell you that right now. But meanwhile, it is up front. Stephen Case has driven away a little bit up front. And I got to say, Charles, at the F4 race last season, Case did something very similar. And actually, by the end, he had about an 8-second gap behind. It's not anything that gaudy at this point, but definitely significant that he's outside of Mikovitz's draft range. 1.3 gap, and then for Mikovic back to green is another almost second gap. So we had a little pack fighting for P1 up front, aided by the draft, but those guys have completely broken up, and actually a lot of white on that timing tower all of a sudden, Charles, when it was painted pretty impressively the first 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it is starting to stretch out a bit, and I think Mikovic had a bit of an issue, or just a slow lap, so maybe missed a corner here or there, and dropped maybe a half a tenth or half a second. Ooh, there's another car around. As that was Cardenas was through turn one, little half spin there, able to get the car stopped. The car behind is able to avoid, and so nice rejoins, nice and safely back onto the racing surface. So good job by Cardenas there. There's Chris Eggert, another half spin, and manages to keep it off the wall. So actually great news for Chris, although he's going to lose several positions. He's able to keep the car off the wall, so no damage to be repaired. And now you can see him kind of working his tires a little bit, trying to get the clag off of them and clean them up a bit, so we can get ready to come into this braking zone and make the next corner. So seeing the little errors here and there, and I think that's helping stretch the gaps between some of the cars. But like I said, I think Mikovic actually maybe dropped a half second on the lap somewhere because he was within like 0.6 of green. And the gap had opened up, but I think now he's starting to just kind of match the pace of Case up front. So let's see if he can, squeeze a tenth here and there and tighten that gap up a little further.
Yeah, and we showed Bali there putting move onto Corwin into turn one. That was good for P9 for him, and shout out to him for moving up 5 positions from his qualifying of P14. So Bali, one of the 2 hard chargers, Posada, has also moved up 5. So some good driving going on out there by Bali. There have been a couple incidents, but those 5 positions, there's a couple of legit passes in there, and we showed one that he put on Corwin. And man, oh man, you got to feel for Eggert. He was in that pack fighting for P5 for a good chunk of time at the beginning of this one, probably 10 minutes, and put some good moves on, driving well, and really hurt himself with a little air there. And there's Trantham. Woo! Lucky to keep that one. That car looked like it was accelerating through the with the tires locked up off track right there. And Trantham has parked it. Maybe he has had enough with that little off. But 10 minutes remaining, 15 in. It is case for Mikovits from green, and those guys all kind of driving comfortably. And we're going to take a look right here. That is Grinsky putting it inside of Diego Posada, and those two probably grateful to have each other, because Grinsky up to Snyder is about 6-second gap, and behind Posada, Van Wagner is actually he's cut it to a second. So maybe these 3 cars will train up and give themselves something to do here in the midfield coming down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it all season long. Is the guys that are out here that want to race will find a place to roll. As we got a spin there, that was Posada losing it, coming through that corner, and just kind of lost the rear a little bit there. Is just a little too much throttle, and the rears once again starting to see those rears starting to give a little bit as we get a little bit deeper into this race. So this is about the time every week where we start seeing issues with the rear tires not being able to hang on.
Yeah, it feels a little early, and that's probably not a good sign for these drivers. We showed the weather widget a little earlier, and unfortunately, I think I talked over that instead of pointing it out. There it is. Thank you, Mike. But that 79% humidity, fairly high, and Fuji is kind of a greasy track anyway, but at least it ain't raining, I guess. But that high humidity making it hard to put the power down, and I gotta say, these F3 cars, it's kind of fun to put the hammer down and drift through some of these corners, but not sustainable for 25 minutes. And we talked about at the beginning of the show, these drivers getting better at tire care, but tires going off before the race is over is definitely still causing problems for some of these guys.
Yeah, I think they are getting better at tire care, but I think we just keep throwing harder tracks at them. I think might have something to do with it. Is we've had Sebring last week, and then Fuji this week, and it's just 2 very, very fast racetracks, lots of fast corners, and it's going to put maximum stress on those rear tires. Just trying to get through, and it's you're starting to see it once again as working their way through, and just nose to tail there through those switchbacks, and gets back out, keeps that on the red and white, which is what you need to be doing there, and head down the straightaway. And looks like that Poborch is a great place for a pass. He's going to take that now, move to the inside as they cross the start-finish line. And looks like he's going to be able to get this done as long as he's good on the brakes here coming down into turn 1. Victor is trying to fight back on the outside, late braking, and just not enough though. And Poborji makes the pass and picks up P4.
Yeah, Vickeroy, I was wondering how much grip he was going to have. You saw him kind of drifting the night away as he was hounding Vickeroy there. But gets that pass done and starts to drive off a little bit on Vickeroy, already a half second. So Vickeroy might have been holding up Poborji, and Poborji now has about 7 minutes to try to close down on Jason Green, a 3.5 seconds ahead. Not super likely, I'm going to say, but he certainly put himself in a position if something happens to any of those podium runners up front, Case, Mikovits, or Green, Poborji will be there to pick up the pieces. So that could be significant fight there, pass there that he pulled off on Vickeroy. And now we'll take a look at Adrian Lopez. He's got Corwin up ahead of him, and has got a little train going behind. That's Eggert, Wang, and Velasco trying to knock Lopez out of the top 10 as time ticking down here. About 5.5 minutes remaining. And go ahead, Charles.
I said there was a spin right behind Eggert. I couldn't see who it was, but we're going to get the replay here. Velasco, so they're working their way through. Looks like I see somebody else's car parts on the track. Oh yeah, there it is. That was that Gulf style livery, and like I said, could not tell who that was. Was that Wayne? Maybe, not really sure, but obviously damage done to that car as that little group came through.
Yeah, and Velasco, we saw his nose piece bouncing down the track there, and Velasco has qualified in P4 and has fallen 10 positions down to 14, and I can't imagine that his times are going to improve. In fact, the last time around was a 1:37, so Velasco way off pace. There is a faster pair here, Charles. Velasco electing not to take it, and got another little fight breaking out right here between LeBivy and Snyder. And I love that fantastic livery on that car, multicolored car. Here comes Velasco again in the 777, and oof, yeah, you know, his feet are probably nice and cool right now, but missing that front downforce not doing him any favors at all.
Yeah, absolutely not. And I think that was Chris Wang that had the issue because he is in the pits getting his car repaired. Yeah, I think I drove that when I first started driving F3s. I think is there another car with spin behind Velasco? Posada? Kind of looks so. Yeah, big drop off there. So Posada dropping down was on the back of Velasco coming through turn one, and I think just lost the rear of the car again. We said with about 3 minutes left, or 4 minutes or so to go. Like I said, I think I drove that Lego car when I first started driving F3s before I learned how to paint them. So I think that was the paint scheme that I used. It's been around forever, but I love it as well.
Yeah, and we're kind of hanging with a replay of Velasco right now, still showing his nose on. So we may be looking for the incident that.
Oh my goodness! It was.
Yeah, and you called it. It was that Gulf car Velasco driving up into the back of, and not really sure what happened there. I guess the Gulf car checking up a little bit there, but Velasco hit him pretty hard, going pretty fast. So, and there he goes. He's going to stop into the pits for his new nose, and Velasco's race just kind of taking a swirling motion down the drain right now as he falls and falls. And remember, he qualified up in P4, so rough outing for him. And we're going to take a look at Viceroy now, looking forward at Poborgi. And Viceroy kind of reeling him in. You saw Poborgi put that sweet pass on Viceroy a few laps ago off of the front straight, and Viceroy may be close enough here. 0.6 coming onto that pit straight, so we'll see how much of a slipstream toe he gets here. See how much that gap falls. Not falling a lot right now. It seems kind of hovering at about 0.6. So we may be learning something right now about the draft distance required. Might be a little shorter than we thought, actually, Charles.
It's kind of what it appears. It looks like that the draft is not really kicking in until you get to the second half of that straightaway, and you got to be probably within a half second for it to be of any use to you to help you move forward just a bit. As we're on here with Viceroy, and he's still continuing that fight, trying to catch up to Borgi there, 0.6 back. So if he can do a little bit of work there, and as we're going to get a replay here of Grunsky as he's coming around the Angry Birds car. Yeah, just a little slow motion spin there. And that's, just same thing as he's just trying to turn in, trying to get on the brakes, and the rear is just saying, no, I'm not having it. Tries to increase the wheel angle, and the tires just let go, unfortunately. And that's just part of it. Is there's only certain things these tires can do at one time. You ask it to do things like turn and brake and change directions all at once, and doesn't always work. As I think we've got the white flag in the air.
Yeah, treacherous spot right there. We've seen a number of drivers loop it right there. And yeah, Case is going to take the white flag here, and not a lot of drama, frankly, up front. It's Case for Mikovits from Green. Green kind of within shouting distance of Mikovits, but Mikovits with good pace, probably safe there. Oh my goodness, and there's Viceroy getting a little impatient with Paborgi, taking a dive from pretty far back there, Charles. And that one did not work out. He tried to trail break it down the inside of turn one, over-rotated there, got way too loose, and the drama gone out of that fight for P4. And so really it looks like the only thing juicy happening right now is Green up to Mikovits, and that one about 7/10. Probably not going to be able to make anything happen here. We're going to take a look at Vase right now. Vase is going to take a run at Cardenas. And Cardenas just kind of getting out of the way, wanting nothing to do with that. But will Cardenas try to set up the over and under? I talked about it at the beginning of the show, and there it is, folks. I was waiting for that move, and that is why Cardenas said, kind of gave him the bullfighter Olay, moved way over and let him through because he was setting up that over-under move right there towards turn two. So great driving by that driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Great move by Cardenas to be aware that that was going to happen. And as they said in Top Gun, I'm just going to throw on the brakes. He'll drive right by. And that's exactly what happened, and was able to get back underneath him coming out of one and get the spot back.
Yeah, and there we go. Our leaders coming through now. Case has taken the checker. It's Case from Mikovits, from Green, from Paborgi, from Viceroy, your top five. And yeah, the field spread out, Charles, a little more than I thought. You know, the slipstream out here really tends to suck these cars together. But you know, and you see what your reward for hitting those anti-cut curbs right there is that F4 car going, or F3 car going 4 wheels off the ground. And actually that is under race conditions. So that little wide exit right there is going to cost that car some positions, and Brashear going to cash in on that mistake. So yeah, still racing going on here at the back of the grid. There is looks like, who are we looking at? That is Duvall ahead to Lopez. Or no, Dylan up to Duvall, and getting a little bit of a tow down the pit straight here. Not going to be quite enough. And oh my goodness, very tight finish there, though. Almost a photo finish. Definitely some overlap as they went under the starter stand. And you know, the finish snuck up on us just a little bit there. But nonstop action here at Fuji, and really everything I was anticipating, Charles.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's you know, that's when you're so engrossed in the racing on the track and you don't realize that the checkered flags come out. But great race by Case. You know, drove away second half, so he was very comfortable out front. Didn't really have a lot of pressure after the first couple of laps. Was able to get a good lead and just hang on to it. Maybe did a little bit of not necessarily fuel saving, but a little bit of just kind of coasting a little bit to try and not overuse the tires, and might have helped him stay out front. But great job by the front three, Case, Mikovits, and Green. And then a great battle there with Viceroy and Paborgi there for the last few laps. Unfortunate that that Skylar had that little incident going down into one, but some great racing all the way around. It was very, very exciting from start to finish.
Yeah, really good stuff. And Case kind of showing his mastery of Fuji. He's had some good performances here in Sim Racers Group Racing and the F4 car in the past. And despite not being able to secure the pole, really dispatched Mikovits pretty easily and got away from him so that he was not in danger of getting passed back in the draft. But there are your results. It is Stephen Case with the victory, and there went your results. Let's bring it back. There's Case with the victory. And Mike's messing with me right now. It's a Case for Mikovits from Green, your top three. Then Danush Paborgi and Skylar Viceroy rounding out your top five. Then it's Lloyd Conway, Varun Bali, Chris Eggert, Josh Corwin, and Daniel Lebivy in P10. And I got to go back up to Bali and give him a shout out. That is +7 for Bali to land him in P7. So excellent drive by him. Then it's De Silva, Justin Snyder, Aaron Van Wagner in P13. And shout out to Van Wagner as well. He's up 9 positions. Then it's Grinsky, Posada, Cardenas, Brashear, and Vase running in P18. That'll be followed by Adrian Lopez, Adam Duvall in P20. Then it's Dylan, Velasco, Kocher, Day, Wang, Molina, and Trantham, and those last 4 cars not finishing on the lead lap. And a lot of drama there. We had some big risers, some big fallers, and Velasco with problems down 18, Wang with problems down 13, and some very good drives. Van Wagner up 7, and Bali again up, or Van Wagner up 9, and Bali again up 7. So really good stuff there, Charles. And I'm going to take a quick look into the interview area. And Charles, I'm going to grab Igor Grunsky for you, and you can ask him about his experience out there tonight.
Hey, Igor, this is Charles in the booth. Good race for you, up 5 positions with a place P14 finish. So talk about your race a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we'll get you.
Yeah. I mean, this is, I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I think I managed to do pretty clean race, maybe like one mistake, couple of, like maybe cost me 1 position. But it's my first season in F3. I never, drove it before. So I'm still kind of getting used to the car and like adjusting my gear and, the force feedback and what else. But yeah, I think I'm getting more and more comfortable. So I'm pretty happy. And I think in general, I just want to call out that the whole race was pretty clean. Like usually first couple corners, it's like everyone's, bracing for impact. And today it was pretty good. And I think it's, a lot of work and feedback from Jason and, like kind of peer pressure and that kind of stuff that we want to keep it, a safe place for like a proper racing, unlike officials where usually it's very, so I guess that's it.
Yeah, it's the official series in the F3 is a bit of a madhouse, especially at the race start. But yeah, like as you said, very clean start to the race. Had a couple little small incidents, but nothing really major. So, what was the thing that you learned as you were prepping for this week that you needed to really focus on in order to make your race as good as it was?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's probably same like lesson I'm working on from F3 league start. I think my biggest issue with the car is throttle application. It's more power than F4 before. So like if you kind of like out of the corner and you over press the throttle, like it's really easy to lose the car. And I was really like when I was practicing and today I was trying to really be careful and maybe I'm losing a little bit on the corner exit, but I'm keeping car stable. And I think that played out well. And in general, I feel more and more in control. So that's probably the biggest kind of call out.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did see a few issues toward the end of the race, and we've seen this all season. Did you kind of feel like the rear tires were just kind of going away those last 5 or 6 minutes of the race?
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't even that hot. And again, I wasn't like pushing that much, but definitely, these cars, they last for maybe like 15-ish minutes. And after that, you can definitely feel that, all the corners before they're like a lot more challenging and you have to be even more careful. I think I did spin out once in like last corner and lost 1 position exactly because of that, right? So didn't account for tire wear. But yeah, I think it's true everywhere, and it's just part of that experience of being more patient and careful, and like keeping the car as a like top priority.
So, well, Igor, thanks for stopping in the booth, and we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs, and we'll let you go celebrate your successful race.
Yeah. Thank you guys for interviewing, and thank you for doing the broadcast. It's super fun to rewatch and kind of see a different perspective. And yeah, just heads up to all the SRG members who have such a great community, and I really enjoy every weekend. I'm waiting for the race, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of inside conversations that you don't hear for better. But yeah, it's totally awesome community. So yeah, kudos to everyone, and yeah, thank you.
All right, Igor, congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, Igor with a fantastic drive, as Charles pointed out, up 5 to bring that car home in P14. And we will now go ahead and bring in Saurabh Vaiz. Saurabh, first of all, am I pronouncing your front name? Am I pronouncing your first name correctly?
Hey guys, it's Saurabh.
Sarab. Okay. So
Yeah.
Sarab, what it looked like some pretty good racing out there. What do you think of driving these F3 cars at Fuji?
It's a menace. Honestly, 80% of the effort felt like just keeping it on the track towards the end. Felt like I qualified above my pace a little bit, so I think I got swallowed up a little during the first couple laps, and then found a bit of a rhythm. Had some really good fights with a few people who I'm forgetting exactly, but yeah, held on till the end. Fun car to
Yeah,
drive. I'm mostly doing the F4s these days, so
yeah, another 100 horsepower definitely makes this a
yeah.
completely different animal. And we keep talking about tire management. So going into a race like this, knowing that you need to make those tires last and knowing that you need to kind of take it easy on the throttle out of some of these low speed corners, how do you prepare yourself for that to make good decisions and make those tires last as well as you can?
I think it really is all about just breaking the race into stages. I know Jason preaches this. It's survive the first few laps, find a rhythm in the middle, and then if you're in a position to do anything towards the end, then that might be your chance. I've found with this car, especially if you push early, if you run out of tires, it's just a miserable time later on. So just try to stay on track initially, try to avoid anything, avoid getting into any incidents, and then just stay alive.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for stopping in and sharing your thoughts with us after this race. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to tonight?
Big shout out to Jason, obviously, for running this whole operation. I've been running these races for the better part of 2+ years now, moving through the different series, and it's been just an kind of one-of-a-kind experience. Everybody who joins in these races is respectful and a joy to race with. Even if I'm not fighting towards the front, it never feels like I'm away from the action. Shout out Jason, shout out everybody else in all of these series that SRG hosts, because it's always a blast.
All right, excellent. Well, thanks again for coming and chatting with us, and we will see you next week.
Appreciate it.
All right, last and certainly not least, Charles, let's go ahead and bring in the mastermind himself, Jason Kocher.
Yeah, Jason, welcome in. So let's kind of overview your race since you were out there. Started in 17th, finished in 23rd, so not the best day at the office.
No, not this time. I had a great start to the season in Imola, but for the last 4 races, I seem to I don't know if I broke a mirror or if I walked under a ladder, but I can't seem to avoid contact. It's some of them maybe I pressed too hard, some of them was murdered just for existing, and Fuji I'm not really fond of. Portimao I don't have a whole lot of time on, so I think the plan B for next week is just plain survive. That's racing. I was entertained, and I got to play some video games with my friends for a couple of hours tonight. So that's the victory I take when I'm upside down on fire.
Yeah, there you go. That's it entirely. Is the whole point of this is enjoyment, is entertainment, and so that's if you get that out of it every time you get in the car, you've had a good day. So we kind of shouted out the entire field a little bit at the start of this race. We had the top half of the field within 1 second of pole time, and the top 10 were within a half second of pole time. So I think that the grid as a whole is starting to get a little better in these cars and these times. And for a big track like that, that's a pretty massive statement. So these times are starting to get a little bit tighter, and you're starting to see a lot more activity even in the mid pack during these races.
Yeah, it's mad skill in this league and in this community. I've really enjoyed watching people improve across the spectrums, regardless of where they started in F3 and also in F4. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that race last night, but super proud of that community as well. That class within the leagues. It's been years, literally years in the making to get the right people and the right mindset and the right sort of philosophical approach, and it's really gelling now, and it's very I take great pride in watching people improve and have fun and enjoy it. And last night was one of the best. Congratulations to Josh and Lloyd and Jose, Ryan, Aaron. That mid-pack group was just battling tooth and nail as well. And I'm looking forward to watching tonight's F3 race. As always, I was a little bit of a test day back there on my own, motoring around, remembering how much I don't like this place. I haven't had a lot of time to build the skill here, but yeah, the community as a whole it's just been a dream come true, literally.
Yeah, I did watch that. I did watch that race back. I kind of hate that I wasn't on the broadcast because I absolutely love CTMP, and it was you said exactly. Conway and Leslie just had a great battle up front for the entire race. So yeah, it was fantastic to watch that, and of course our guys did a great job as usual. So we'll let you go. I think we had somebody else in the broadcast or in the waiting area, but we'll let you go ahead. Jason, I do have one more question. So in the SRG headquarters there, do you have guys that are, in there just specifically working with some of the drivers during practice and just kind of giving them little tips and tricks as they're prepping for these races?
For the rookie races and the F4 races, especially now that I ruled myself out by class and experience, at the split, we took the F4 Inter Aliens and the Inter Ones and involuntarily graduated them into F3. The Inter 2 crew a chance to get a little stretch of their legs, little space on track, and allow some drivers with skill sets that were always going to be mid-pack amongst the 3K, 4K, 5K guys and girls a chance to run at the front and get some camera time and get some front run time, and that's important in their growth. So now that I'm not practicing and driving and getting ready to go for those events, I am able to just coach a little bit on the racecraft, maybe a little bit more so in the rookie on pedal modulation and slide management and racecraft management, those sorts of things. So yeah, I mean, if you come into the Sim Racers group, you don't have to have started with a whole ton of skill set. It's a lot of fun, especially as I've said before, there are people in this league that you were watching tonight that had never sat in a sim rig before they showed up at the Sim Racers group a couple of years ago, and they put in the time. It's their passion, it's their effort, and a little sprinkle of some guidance and some coaching, and they've just grown into really outstanding racers. So yeah, not so much in F3. If I'm racing, I get a little selfish on a Wednesday night, beat it, I'm trying to beat you. It's fun to coach people right up until they drive by you, which has happened several times here, and I joke, and that's what you want people to enjoy it and grow and improve, of course, and then they drive by you. It's we have a laugh about the dichotomy of Jason the admin and Jason the driver. So as an admin, Jason the admin is stoked, and then someone's having fun and they're smiling, and then, all the bench racing and stuff post race, and then as they drive by, Jason the driver is not smiling the same way Jason the admin is. So a bit of a two-faced Batman character, but yeah, always a good time. And if I could give a quick shout out to the community as a whole, I say it pretty regularly, just in being grateful for their enthusiasm and their participation and their networking and recruiting. But this week especially, there was sort of an unfortunate event, we'll call it an emotional intruder, and I realize that for those that aren't privy to the details, that isn't going to make a whole lot of sense, but sort of an unfortunate interaction this week, and the community really had my back. And I want to thank them sincerely. They jumped in with comments and support, and took action and really kind of defended the headquarters. And it's a lot to take on a small business, if you've ever tried to run anything more than a Saturday lemonade stand, it's difficult to understand the complexity of some of these things. And it was a vulnerable moment, and there were 30 people there right by my side that had my back. And I've got a pretty good grasp of the English language after 46 years, but it is difficult to articulate my gratitude to them. I've put a lot into it, and for people to support like that and encourage and really demonstrate appreciation, not just say it, but actually to take action and go out of their way to do nice things for me personally means a lot. And it's a great illustration of the community that we've got here and how special it is. So you guys are a big part of that. We love the SMB, and the broadcast team has just always gotten better and fun to expand, to have both F4 and F3 this season. You guys are awesome. So tough days on recent, but bright sunshine racing days ahead. Let's have it.
All right, Jason, will thank you for the kind words. We will see you next week, both in the SRG and then again on the track next Wednesday.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
All right, that was Jason Kocher, and we're not just about this fantastic Formula racing here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. We have got all kinds of action. I'll run through some of that with you now. Saturday, Weekend Warriors brings Formula V's to VIR North, and then Ron's Race Nights will see the iRacing official top split action with the Radical SR10 at Thruxton, and then Sunday, a Weekend Warriors double feature as Spec Racer Fords throw down at Jerez, and Formula Fords will battle at Road Atlanta. Next Tuesday, we'll be back with the SRG F4s at the Indianapolis Road Course. And 1 week from tonight, these drivers and cars for another battle at Algarve. And we also have, Mike, if you could throw that graphic up, we have a Enduro Sizzling Sebring coming up here. That's going to be on August 9th. And that is a LMP2 and GT3 3-hour Enduro. We're going to have live race control and live stewarding and try to duplicate weather. You see all the details there, and you'll want to tune in for that. That's going to be an absolute barn burner. We've been putting together more and more special events here in SMB, and they are getting better and better. So that is going to wrap it, folks. I am J.R. Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner, Charles Bochelle, our producer, Mike Braun, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening wherever you are, and hang on, baby. The weekend's coming.